Episode 56 FX July 9, 2023. I don't have to name the 67 county judges in Alabama in 1965 to vote for not certifying wood stoves safe in 2023. United States. In future episodes, as editor of Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates, I will attempt to show each of the positions on regulation of pollution from indoor residential wood stoves of each of the 10 state attorneys general suing the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, to provide certainty that some wood stove certification as safe will continue in 2023. Industries like the wood stove industry want certainty so they can make their marketing plans to continue to sell polluting wood stoves. The wood stove industry is interested in their own monetary profits and unconcerned about the health effects of indoor residential wood burning on near neighbors. I will try to make these explanations of positions on regulation of indoor residential wood burning pollution as brief and clear as possible, and show their relationship to Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates. There should be a complaint-based process to regulate indoor residential wood stove emissions, with evidence from Purple Air PM 2.5 monitors hung from the eaves of homes of near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners. PM 2.5 enters the yards and infiltrates the homes of near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners. Evidence of pollution exceeding EPA limits of PM 2.5 from fence-line measurement of stack emissions of PM 2.5 in the yards of near neighbors should be used to regulate first, and then shut down indoor residential wood burning. PM 2.5 is particulate matter of 2.5 micrometer size, the perfect size to infiltrate the human lung, setting off a cascade of human health problems and early deaths. The CO2 and PM 2.5 emitted from wood burning exceeds that of the fossil fuel, coal burning and wood burning in the cleanest eco-stove in the United Kingdom emits 450 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel natural gas burning. The PM 2.5 and CO2 from wood burning also contribute to climate change. https://youtube.be/1yruufyeopi?T=37 An excerpt from the movie Selma. https://n.wikipedia.org/wiki/Selma_film, a Wikipedia article about the movie Selma. Excerpts edited by Rozep for brevity and clarity and relationship to Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates. In the 2014 movie Selma, the real-life character Annie Lee Cooper is played by Oprah Winfrey. Annie Lee Cooper attempts to register to vote in Selma, Alabama, but is prevented by the white registrar, who asks her to first tell him how many county judges there are in Alabama, to which she replies correctly, 67. The sheriff, who is the registrar, then asks Annie Lee Cooper to name all 67, which she is unable to do, and at that point she cannot register to vote in Alabama. In the movie, Martin Luther King, Jr., meets with Lyndon B. Johnson and asks for federal legislation to allow black citizens to register to vote unencumbered, but the president responds that, although he understands Dr. King's concerns, he has more important projects. The movie Selma goes on to show the hardships and the violence marchers from Selma to Montgomery go through to protest their inability to vote, until the point when a white protester is killed. At that point in the movie, Lyndon Johnson is shown as galvanized to give a speech to the U.S. Congress in March 1965, which leads to the Voting Rights Act of 1965 a few months later. The speech follows. https://www.american-aw.com/reader/27-the-60/Lyndon-Johnson-on-voting-rights-and-the-American Promise-1-965. Lyndon Johnson on Voting Rights and the American Promise, 1965. On March 15, 1965, Lyndon Baines Johnson addressed a joint session of Congress to push for the Voting Rights Act. In his speech, Johnson not only advocated policy, he borrowed the language of the civil rights movement and tied the movement to American history. Mr. Speaker, Mr. President, members of the Congress. I speak tonight for the dignity of man and the destiny of democracy. At times history and fate meet at a single time in a single place to shape a turning point in man's unending search for freedom. So it was at Lexington and Concord. So it was a century ago at Appomattox. So it was last week in Selma, Alabama. There, long-suffering men and women peacefully protested the denial of their rights as Americans. Many were brutally assaulted. One good man, a man of God, was killed. There is no cause for pride in what has happened in Selma. There is no cause for self-satisfaction in the long denial of equal rights of millions of Americans. But there is cause for hope and for faith in our democracy in what is happening here tonight. For the cries of pain and the hymns and protests of oppressed people have summoned into convocation all the majesty of this great government, the government of the greatest nation on earth. Our mission is at once the oldest and the most basic of this country, to right wrong, to do justice, to serve man. In our time we have come to live with moments of great crisis. Our lives have been marked with debate about great issues, issues of war and peace, issues of prosperity and depression. But rarely in any time does an issue lay bare the secret heart of America itself. Rarely are we met with a challenge, not to our growth or abundance, our welfare or our security, but rather to the values and the purposes and the meaning of our beloved nation. The issue of equal rights for American Negroes is such an issue. And should we defeat every enemy, should we double our wealth and conquer the stars, and still be unequal to this issue, then we will have failed as a people and as a nation. This was the first nation in the history of the world to be founded with a purpose. The great phrases of that purpose still sound in every American heart, North and South. All men are created equal, government by consent of the governed, give me liberty or give me death. Well, those are not just clever words, or those are not just empty theories. In their name Americans have fought and died for 2 centuries, and tonight around the world they stand there as guardians of our liberty, risking their lives. Those words are a promise to every citizen that he shall share in the dignity of man. This dignity cannot be found in a man's possessions, it cannot be found in his power or in his position. It really rests on his right to be treated as a man equal in opportunity to all others. It says that he shall share in freedom, he shall choose his leaders, educate his children, and provide for his family according to his ability and his merits as a human being. To apply any other test to deny a man his hopes because of his color or race, his religion or the place of his birth is not only to do injustice, it is to deny America and to dishonor the dead who gave their lives for American freedom. To those who seek to avoid action by their national government in their own communities, who want to and who seek to maintain purely local control over elections, the answer is simple. Open your polling places to all your people. Allow men and women to register and vote whatever the color of their skin. Extend the rights of citizenship to every citizen of this land. So I ask you to join me in working long hours, nights and weekends, if necessary, to pass this bill. And I don't make that request lightly. For from the window where I sit with the problems of our country I recognize that outside this chamber is the outraged conscience of a nation, the grave concern of many nations, and the harsh judgment of history on our acts. But even if we pass this bill, the battle will not be over. What happened in Selma is part of a far larger movement which reaches into every section and state of America. It is the effort of American Negroes to secure for themselves the full blessings of American life. Their cause must be our cause too. Because it is not just Negroes, but really it is all of us, who must overcome the crippling legacy of bigotry and injustice. And we shall overcome. Razep View, people have a basic human right to breathable air. The Grist article below doesn't address the health effects of the emissions from wood burning, but does discuss the climate change contribution of wood burning. United States. Wood isn't the climate-friendly material you think it is, Grist. The emissions associated with timber harvests mainly come from burning logs and pellets. Excerpts edited by Razep for brevity and clarity and relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. A new study shows that cutting down trees for paper, furniture, and fuel emits 3 times more carbon than flying. Whether used to heat your house or build it, wood is often touted as carbon neutral, especially by biofuel and lumber companies and even some environmentalists. The logic seems simple enough. Sure, logging unleashes planet-warming carbon into the air, but that can be replaced with new trees that suck carbon back out of the air. Even when the carbon captured by new trees is taken into account, wood consumption accounts for about 1/10 of the world's annual greenhouse gas emissions, more than passenger cars. You got a lot of emissions coming from wood harvest. The emissions associated with timber harvests mainly come from burning logs and pellets for fuel and from rotting branches, leaves, and roots left in the forest or tossed in landfills, where they decompose and release carbon into the air. Searchinger and his colleagues found that global demand for wood will grow by 54% between 2010 and 2050, largely driven by fuel and timber products like wood chips. Logging to meet that demand will cover an area roughly equivalent to clear-cutting the entire continental U.S. The resulting climate pollution is likely to measure 3.5 to 4.2 billion tons of carbon dioxide each year, about 3 times the emissions from aviation and roughly equal to the deforestation caused by agriculture. Harvesting wood and lost carbon from wood products could be 10% of total global carbon pollution. Researchers and policymakers haven't accurately estimated the climate cost of wood use in part because they've counted carbon capturing forest growth as an offset, as if new trees compensated for the missing ones even when that growth would happen naturally. Even for older forests that aren't regrowing as quickly, you'd be better off leaving them unharvested. We've got a long way to go before our use of wood is efficient enough, say, by not burning so much of it that the emissions from logging could be fully offset by forest regrowth. A big chunk of pollution is human-caused and can be human-reversed. Governments can take steps to reduce the emissions by limiting logging and encouraging more efficient uses of wood, like burning less of it. The alternative means an even hotter, smokier planet. If we don't do anything, he said, these emissions are going to grow. Rosep View, New York's Republican congressional delegation is calling on Democratic New York City Mayor Eric Adams to change the city's proposed policy on coal and wood-fired pizza ovens without considering the effects of wood-burning emissions on human health. New York, New York City. New York GOP reps urge Mayor Adams to abandon coal, wood-fired oven rule, Fox News. Fox News. The city's proposal to slice carbon emissions from the Big Apple's historic coal and wood-burning ovens by 75% drew significant backlash from excerpts edited by Rosep for brevity and clarity and relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. First on Fox, New York's Republican congressional delegation is calling on Democratic New York City Mayor Eric Adams to change the city's proposed policy on coal and wood-fired pizza ovens, saying it would effectively eliminate the perfect New York slice. The letter, signed by Representatives Mike Lawler, Elise Stefanik, Marcus Molinaro, Nick LaLatta, Andrew Garbarino and Anthony Desposito, warns that the new emissions mandate would lead to the closure of treasured New York pizzerias, causing people to lose their jobs and negatively impacting the local economy. The city's proposal to slice carbon emissions from the Big Apple's historic coal and wood-burning ovens by 75% drew significant backlash from pizzerias, which may have to buy emission control devices to comply. New York City has long regulated emissions, becoming the first U.S. city to ban natural gas connections in new buildings in 2021. Rosep View. In the article below, the New York Times points out that Naples, Italy is already regulating wood-fired pizzerias in a way similar to the proposal from the New York City mayor. What's the future of wood-fired pizza in New York? The New York Times. Last month, the City Department of Environmental Protection proposed regulations requiring most restaurants with coal or wood-fired ovens installed. Coal and wood-burning ovens emit a uniquely harmful pollutant called particulate pollution, according to Eric Goldstein, the New York City. What's the future of wood-fired pizza in New York? New regulations don't mean the end of traditional pizza ovens, but they raise some issues for restaurants. July 7, 2023. Last week the internet was concerned about the future of wood-fired pizza in New York City. We'll take a look at the proposed rules that caused the uproar, talk to local pizza makers and see how the law compares with existing regulations in Naples, Italy. Excerpts edited by Rosep for brevity and clarity and relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. Rosario Granieri, the owner of Pizza Secret in Park Slope, has switched to a gas oven. Like Granieri, his Italian family was initially skeptical. They were like, "We don't want you to change. We teach you how to make Neapolitan pizza. We don't want you to make New York pizza," Granieri recalled. They came around when the Associazione Vera Pizza Napolitana, an international organization established by the Italian government to give a special designation to pizzerias that meet strict requirements for Neapolitan pizza, determined that gas-fired ovens were an appropriate method of baking Neapolitan pizza. In 2020, Granieri's parents flew to New York and tried it for themselves. They loved it, Granieri said and pulled up a selfie of the three smiling outside Pizza Secret. "We are breaking heat records around the world," the New York Times. The New York Times. On Tuesday, global average temperatures climbed to 62.6 degrees Fahrenheit, or 17 Celsius, making it the hottest day Earth has experienced since at least 1940, when records began, and very likely before that, according to an analysis by the European Union's Copernicus Climate Change Service. Rosep View. Another billionaire, Steve Forbes, follows billionaire Elon Musk in criticizing regulation of pollution from New York City wood-burning pizzerias, in defense of profits over human health. Why NYC's new pizza regulations are utter BS. YouTube. Steve Forbes tears into a New York City regulation that would effectively ban coal and wood-burning pizza ovens, calling the justification behind. Oregon among states planning to sue EPA for allowing sales of polluting wood-burning stoves. Herald and News. Federal Environmental Protection Agency for failing to ensure newly manufactured wood-burning stoves and fireplaces don't contaminate the air. Oregon and other states plan to sue the EPA for allowing sales of wood-burning stoves. Oregon Public Broadcasting. They allege the agency has failed to adequately update its emissions standards for residential wood-burning stoves and fireplaces to ensure. Oregon's Attorney General plans to join 9 attorneys general in suing the Federal Environmental Protection Agency for failing to ensure newly manufactured wood-burning stoves and fireplaces don't contaminate the air and harm public health. Oregon and other states plan to sue the EPA for allowing sales of wood-burning stoves. Oregon Capitol Chronicle. July 6, 2023. In this March 8, 2014, file photo, a wood stove heats a home in Freeport, Maine. Excerpts edited by Rozep for brevity and clarity and relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. Oregon's Attorney General plans to join 9 attorneys general in suing the Federal Environmental Protection Agency for failing to ensure newly manufactured wood-burning stoves and fireplaces don't contaminate the air and harm public health. Ellen Rosenblum and the attorneys general from Alaska, Illinois, Maryland, Massachusetts, Minnesota, New Jersey, New York, Vermont and Washington notified the agency on June 29 their intent to sue, giving it 60 days notice to take action or negotiate to avoid a lawsuit. A 2021 analysis of 250 certified wood heaters on the market by the nonprofit Northeast States for Coordinated Air Use Management and the Alaska Department of Environmental Conservation found that manufacturers had either incomplete or no reports showing they had tested their products to ensure they met EPA standards. None was in compliance with regulatory requirements, the analysis found. Many of these devices will be installed in communities that are overburdened by environmental harms and other inequities, further exacerbating environmental justice issues, they wrote. Vermont. A $16.5 million deal to resolve EB5 litigation. Vermont Public. Plus, a lawsuit against the U.S. EPA over pollution standards for wood-burning stoves, introducing Vermont State University, a low-COVID summer. Canada, Yukon Territory, Yellowknife, regarding Wood Buffalo Park in British Columbia. Wood Buffalo Park preparing for meeting to discuss fires. My True North now. Smoke may be visible from the highway, so travelers are asked to drive with caution in the area. Safety of people, communities, and infrastructure. Rozep View. This article questions why fossil fuel systems should be incentivized to switch to wood-burning systems if the wood-burning systems are more polluting. Switzerland. Environment, no heating system subsidies before 2025. Le News. Wood burners are also being promoted, despite their high emissions and significant air pollution. Their promotion is based on the questionable. On June 18, 2023, Swiss voters passed a package of emission-cutting actions, among them subsidies to incentivize homeowners to change fossil fuel heating systems. Environment, no heating system subsidies before 2025. July 7, 2023. By Le News. Leave a comment. Excerpts edited by Rozep for brevity and clarity and relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. On June 18, 2023, Swiss voters passed a package of emission-cutting actions, among them subsidies to incentivize homeowners to change fossil fuel heating systems. This week, Albert Rosti, Switzerland's energy minister, unveiled dates for the expected rollout of the plan, reported SRF. Subsidies should be available from the beginning of 2025. The main target for the subsidies is homeowners with the gas and oil heating systems that heat the majority of Swiss buildings. In 2021, 41% of Swiss buildings were heated with oil, mazout, and 18% with gas. More than 70% of heating in Switzerland involves directly burning something, 41% oil, 18% gas and 12% wood. The aim is to incentivize building owners to convert to heat pumps, an efficient form of electric heating, and also confusingly to wood burners. Wood burners are being promoted despite their high emissions and significant air pollution. Their promotion is based on the questionable logic that wood is renewable, oil and coal are too over the right timeframe. Environmental NGOs have been battling against this subterfuge for some time. In one article, WWF undermines the 9 key arguments commonly used by the wood fuel industry in their lobbying. WWF's arguments include: wood is renewable but not low carbon, rotting wood emits slowly while burning emits fast, and using wood in long-lived products is better than burning it. In addition to the arguments covered by WWF, the air pollution from burning wood is significant, so it comes with a potential health cost. Data from the UK suggest wood burning generates more air pollution than road transport. Under the plan accepted by Swiss voters, homeowners who replace their fossil fuel heating systems with wood heating systems or electric heat pumps are to benefit from support totaling 200 million Swiss francs a year, which will start in 2025, according to Rosti. However, 200 million Swiss francs is a fairly small sum relative to the scale of the conversion required to meet Switzerland's climate goals. If 10% of the roughly 1.8 million dwellings in Switzerland burning fossil fuel wanted to convert in a given year, there would only be enough for a 1,111 Swiss francs subsidy per conversion. Not much compared to the cost of converting, which can run as high as 50,000 Swiss francs. India, Mumbai. Urban pollution improvement. Maharashtra is second worst performing state in 2017 to 22. Mumbai Live. This was reported as per the data analysis from 2017 to 2022 on the annual average carcinogenic particulate matter, PM, 2.5 levels shows. The report also. India, Punjab. Dip in ACI PM 2.5 in Punjab and HP lower than national average, Chandigarh News, Times of India. Times of India. Despite the country's action plan on combating air pollution mainly having an urban focus, analysis shows that PM 2.5 levels in the rural and India, rural. PM 2.5 pollution in India dips by 19% between 2017 to 2022, analysis East Mojo. East Mojo. Rural India's PM 2.5 levels in 2022 stood at 46.8 microgram per cubic meter, down by 19.1% compared to 2017. Urban India's PM 2.5 levels. India, Tamil Nadu. Clean Air Program bears fruit, pollution dips by 22% in 5 years in TN. The New Indian Express. However, WHO's revised guidelines for PM 2.5 and PM 10 are 5 UG/M3 and 15 UG/M3, which shows that particulate matter doesn't have boundaries. The results of the study show a 22% drop in PM 2.5 levels in Tamil Nadu compared to 2017. In 2022 the PM 2.5 level was 32.9 UG/M3, micrograms per cubic meter, while in Chennai, it is currently around 29 UG/M3. In 2017, the state's annual average was 43 UG/M3. PM 2.5 from wood burning and human health. Cleaner outdoor air diminishes the overall risk of intracerebral hemorrhage but brings BMC Public Health, Biomed Central. In our previous report, we found that the daily concentration of particulate matter with an aerodynamic diameter less than or equal to 2.5 microgram, PM 2.5, particulate matter. Excerpts edited by Rozep for brevity and clarity and relationship to Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates. Cleaner outdoor air diminishes the overall risk of intracerebral hemorrhage but brings differential benefits to subpopulations, a time-stratified case crossover study. Our study suggests that decreased pollution levels diminish the adverse effects of short-term ambient air pollutants exposure on ICH risk in general, which demonstrates that clean air policies with the effort to lower pollution levels have positive preventive significance. Nevertheless, the influence of lower air pollutants on ICH risk in subgroups with different individual risks or monthly mean temperature is heterogeneous, indicating differential benefits among subpopulations. Rozep view: will a conspiracy theory that wood burning is not polluting be added to the list of conspiracy theories floating around the internet about masking, COVID vaccines and regulation of polluting car emissions? https://www.nbcnews.com/news/world/climate-lockdowns-became-new-battleground-conspiracy-driven-protest-UTM_source equals. How climate lockdowns became the new battleground for conspiracy-driven protest movement. Protesters radicalized by their opposition to COVID-19 lockdowns have a new target: anti-traffic measures. A demonstrator holds a placard at a rally against the expansion of the ultra-low emission zone in London in June. July 2, 2023. NBC News. Excerpts edited by Rozep for brevity and clarity and relationship to residents against wood smoke emission particulates. London. What's the shadowy cabal's next goal? Take away your car, the Londoner said. While there is no evidence such a plan exists, a London woman is part of a growing group that evolved out of anti-vaccine protests and has energized a campaign against environmental measures across Britain and elsewhere. Many of these fears are generalized into opposition to 15-minute cities, an urban planning idea designed to reduce traffic and increase walking and cycling that has become an obsession of the post-pandemic protest movement. This is only the beginning, said a London woman, 64, who works at a jeweler's and believes COVID was developed and released by a shadowy and powerful group as a trial to see how compliant people would be. The April demonstration was a protest against Mayor Sadiq Khan's plan to charge people if they drove older, more polluting cars anywhere in the Greater London area. Drivers already have to pay £12.50, $15.50, to drive high-polluting vehicles, typically older diesel cars, in central boroughs, and beginning in August this will apply to all of Greater London, a huge geographic area. It isn't only about cars. For a generation of anti-government protesters radicalized by their opposition to pandemic lockdowns, the latest protest movement is about what they claim are efforts to dramatically reduce the world's population. These unfounded ideas are spilling over into the wider society. A protester holding a sign with "liar" branded across London Mayor Sadiq Khan's face at Trafalgar Square in London on April 15. Almost a third of people who took part in a recent poll by King's College London and the BBC said it was either definitely or probably true that 15-minute city plans are a government attempt to surveil people and restrict freedoms. Experts increasingly see COVID and the resulting lockdowns, vaccines and restrictions as a watershed moment for conspiracy-driven anti-authority activists. If you look at the individuals that are complaining, spreading misinformation and legitimizing conspiracy theories about 15-minute cities, they're often the exact same cohort of individuals that spread misinformation about COVID, and often it's the same language. Tim Caulfield, an expert in misinformation at Alberta University in Canada, said. While these conspiracy theories become commonplace, whether being repeated by Fox News pundits, Dutch farmers, British lawmakers or Austrian nationalists, Caulfield warns that they are still extreme and outlandish. One of the remarkable things is the normalization of hardcore conspiracy theories. This isn't like conspiracy theory light, it's a hardcore conspiracy theory, he said. As the world grapples with rising temperatures and climate migration, more and more groups suspicious of the government's motives will resist ecological measures and how they affect their lives, he warned. Tyrannical control. In November, Duncan Enright, head of transport at Oxfordshire County Council, which covers an affluent and mostly rural part of southern England, suggested a pilot scheme to reduce traffic on 6 congested roads running across the city of Oxford. The traffic filter plans spearheaded by Enright were aimed at encouraging drivers to use the ring road to get around the city rather than cut across it. Weeks later, Enright said he was receiving death threats, mostly through social media but also in emails and telephone calls, a target of activists who say green measures subjugate the population and trap it in its neighborhoods. The traffic filter pilot was approved in October and there are no plans to halt the scheme. A pyramid of priorities. The inventor of the 15-minute city concept has become a hate figure for those who rail against urban change in the name of environmentalism. It's amazing to switch from being a researcher at a university to being a public enemy of the global movement of conspiracy theorists, said Carlos Moreno, an associate professor at the IAE Paris Sorbonne Business School in Paris. It is the same people who are climate deniers, who thought COVID-19 was a biological weapon, that the vaccine was a way to introduce 5G into the body of people. They are manipulating the 15-minute concept into an open-air jail, he told NBC News. Around 2016, Moreno developed the idea that communities should be structured around people, not cars, and that everything someone might need during the day, from shops to schools, workplaces to doctors' surgeries, should be within a 15-minute drive or cycle. Modern cities have, he argues, given up far too much space to motorists. Originally from Colombia, Moreno's concept has been embraced by cities all over the world, including his adopted city of Paris, where Mayor Anne Hidalgo made reworking local areas to give priority to cyclists and pedestrians a pledge in her successful electoral campaign last year. Moreno suggests a pyramid of priorities that put pedestrians in first place, followed by bicycles, public transport, electric cars full of passengers, taxis and regular private cars in that order. No one is saying we need to control people, in fact it's the opposite. This is a humanistic concept to allow more local services, more open spaces, more social interactions, a better local economy. This is not arduous, he said. Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates, see https://rawscpresidents.wordpress.com and click on the nearest right icon for the latest month, July 2023, of PDFs of articles with URLs to search on. To the right of that, stickers to hand out for RAWSEP https://rawcpresidents.wordpress.com/rawcp-sticker-templates-get-your-2 cents in games such as 1. Bingo for RAWSEP, 2. Crosswords for RAWSEP, 3. Endwood Smoke Jeopardy! 4. Endwood Smoke Monopoly Games, 5. A RAWSEP Flyer, 6. The Untwist It Game, and 7. Vending Machines for PM 2.5 Monitors, and icon links to 30-minute YouTube videos and Spotify podcasts as well as podcasts on Amazon Music Prime, free for Prime subscribers, podcasts.google.com, CastBox, and Pocket Cast. Pocket Cast is only free on the phone app. Pocket Cast works on Apple phones, and, below those icons, icon links to monthly PDFs of articles with URLs to search on, from June 2023 to May 2022.